She burst through the restaurant doors breathing hard, terrified, and, before he could even look up, she grabbed his collar and kissed him. Gasps rippled across the room. Forks froze midair. Coffee cups hovered inches from lips. Every eye turned toward the strange, desperate kiss that seemed to come out of nowhere. The man, stunned, mid-sip of his drink, didn't even have time to react. His glass slipped from his hand, shattering against the marble floor. For a second, everything went quiet. Then came the whispers. "Did you see that? Who is she? What's going on?" And in that chaos, she whispered, trembling against his ear, "Please, don't say a word. They'll kill me." He didn't know her name, her story, or why her lips were shaking. But something in her eyes' pure terror made him freeze, not in fear, but in instinct. If you're watching this right now, tell us where in the world are you watching from. Drop a comments for this moment, because what you're about to hear will leave you speechless. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. More life-changing stories like this one are on the way. The man's name was Ethan Cole. Early 30s, calm, quiet, the type who sat alone in crowded places. He was supposed to meet a business partner that day. Nothing special, just coffee, contracts, and a normal afternoon. He wasn't expecting drama. He wasn't expecting her. And she, her name was Amara, a young black woman in her 20s. Beautiful, but her beauty was hidden behind fear and exhaustion. Her hair, once styled neatly, was messy from running. Her coat hung off her shoulders like she'd been dragged through chaos. Her heels clicked unevenly on the restaurant floor, each step echoing with panic. And when she saw Ethan sitting there, calm, unaware, alone, she made a split-second decision that changed both their lives. She ran straight to him, and she kissed him. Ethan's heart raced, not from romance, but from confusion. He felt her trembling, heard her breath shaking. Then, as his mind tried to make sense of it, he saw something behind her. Two men in black coats entering the restaurant, scanning the room. Their eyes were cold, searching. Ethan didn't move. He just followed her line of sight and understood. She wasn't crazy. She was hiding. "Please," she whispered again, voice breaking. "Just act normal. Pretend we're together." Ethan leaned back slowly, eyes narrowing. "Who are they?" Her lips quivered. "If they think I'm alone, they'll drag me out. But if they think I'm with someone," she couldn't finish. Her voice cracked. So he did the only thing he could. He leaned forward and kissed her again. Now everyone in that restaurant thought they were lovers, just a couple lost in a moment of passion. No one noticed the danger. No one saw the fear. The men looked around, paused at the sight of them kissing, exchanged a look, then moved to the far side of the room, watching, waiting. Ethan whispered, "You're safe. For now." But inside, he was anything but calm. When the men finally sat down, Ethan turned slightly toward her. "Tell me what's going on." Her voice was barely a whisper. "They're here because of me." "Because I ran." "Ran from what?" he asked quietly. She swallowed hard, eyes darting to the window. "From him, my ex. He's not just controlling. He's dangerous." He said if I ever left, he'd make me disappear. Ethan's jaw tightened. "And those two, his men," she said. "They've been following me for days." Ethan sat back, processing it all. A random woman just ran into his life, literally. And now he was tangled in something dangerous. Most people would have pushed her away. Most would have called the police and walked out. But Ethan wasn't most people. He looked her dead in the eye. "Don't worry, you're not alone anymore." Amara blinked, unsure whether to believe him. "Why would you help me? You don't even know me." Ethan gave a faint, calm smile. "Maybe that's why." In that moment, something shifted. The fear in her eyes faded slightly. The tremble in her hands slowed. For the first time in days, she felt safe. They ordered drinks to keep up the act, pretending to be a couple on a date. Between quiet words and nervous glances, Ethan learned the rest. How Amara escaped an abusive relationship with a wealthy, violent man who thought he owned her. And now, that man wanted revenge. Minutes passed. The men at the far table still hadn't moved. One of them made a call, The other pretended to read the menu. Ethan's phone buzzed. A message from his partner, running late, be there soon. But Ethan wasn't just a businessman. What no one in that restaurant knew was that he was a former FBI agent turned security consultant. And in that moment, instinct kicked in. He reached under the table, discreetly pressing a small button on his watch, a silent signal that would alert nearby law enforcement. Just breathe, he told Amara softly. Help is coming. Amara looked at him, confused. Help. But before he could explain, the men stood up, their eyes locked on Amara. One of them whispered something into a phone. The other walked toward them. Ethan turned slightly, pretending to laugh. Smile, he said under his breath. We're still on our date. The man stopped near their table, pretending to check his watch. His gaze lingered on Amara for a second too long. Beautiful evening, the man said coldly. Ethan smiled back, voice steady. Yeah, best one I've had in a while. Their eyes met, calm versus cold. And in that silence, they both understood what was really being said. Seconds felt like hours. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Then, sirens, faint, but growing closer. The man's phone buzzed. He frowned, looked out the window, and saw flashing lights. Panic flickered across his face. He turned and hurried back to his partner. Together, they made for the exit. And just like that, they were gone. Amara exhaled, shaking. Tears welled up in her eyes. Ethan reached across the table, his voice low. It's over. You're safe now. But she shook her head. No, not yet. He won't stop. You don't know what he's capable of. Ethan leaned forward. Then he hasn't met me yet. If you're still watching, this is where things get real. Because what happens next changes everything. Before we continue, drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? And if you believe that kindness still exists in this world, hit that like button right now. Alright, let's continue. As the sirens faded, Ethan escorted Amara outside. Police were questioning people, trying to find the men who fled. Amara stood beside him, hugging herself, shivering from the rush of adrenaline. Come on, Ethan said gently. Let's get you somewhere safe. He took her to a nearby diner. Quiet, warm, away from the chaos. Over coffee, she told him everything. Her ex's name was Damian Shaw, a powerful man in the real estate world. Charming in public, violent behind closed doors. He used money to buy silence, hers, and anyone who tried to help her. When she finally escaped, he sent people after her. He swore she'd never live to tell her story. Ethan listened quietly, every detail fueling his resolve. He'd seen men like Damian before, men who thought power made them untouchable, and he'd spent his career making sure they learned otherwise. He leaned forward. You said they want you gone, but that means you've got something they fear. Amara hesitated, then reached into her purse. Inside was a small flash drive. This, she whispered. Proof, transactions, bribes, everything. Ethan's eyes widened. You've been holding evidence this whole time. She nodded. It's the only reason I'm still alive. Right there, in that diner, fate made its move. To strangers, one running from danger, one running from the past, had just found the one thing they both needed. Purpose. Ethan made a call. A quiet one, and within minutes, the FBI knew everything. He looked at her and smiled faintly. You just ended a monster's reign. Tears filled her eyes. I don't even know your name, she said softly. He chuckled. Ethan, and you. Amara. Nice to meet you, Amara, he said, with a smile that made her finally breathe again. Even if our first date was unexpected, she laughed, a soft, tired laugh, the kind that sounded like hope returning. And as dawnlight touched the city outside, Amara realized something she hadn't felt in a long time. Safety. Because sometimes, the people who save us aren't sent by fate. They're created by the moments we least expect. If you believe every act of courage deserves love, drop respect in the comments right now. And wait, because what happens next will warm your heart. The sun rose slowly over the city, painting the skyline with gold and quiet promises. Amara sat by the diner window, her hands wrapped around a warm cup of coffee, staring at the street where police cars had just left. Ethan sat across from her, his eyes calm, focused, protective. He hadn't said much since the night before, but she could feel something, a quiet sense of purpose in him, the kind only people who've seen danger up close carry. "You should go home," she said softly. "You've done enough for me already." Ethan shook his head. "Home? You think I'm just gonna walk away knowing someone's out there hunting you?" Amara sighed, looking down. "You don't understand, Ethan. Damien, he doesn't stop. He'll come for anyone who stands in his way." Ethan leaned forward, voice steady but sharp. "Then let him come." The way he said it, calm, cold, determined, sent a chill through her spine. For the first time, Amara realized this wasn't just kindness. It was personal. Later that morning, as they walked down the quiet street toward Ethan's car, Amara asked, "You keep saying you've seen men like him before. What did you mean?" Ethan hesitated, staring ahead. "Because I used to catch them." He unlocked the car door, his voice low. "I worked with the bureau. My job was tracking people who thought they could buy power with fear." Amara blinked. "You were FBI?" "Was," he said, "until one of them got away. And someone I cared about didn't." He didn't have to explain. Pain speaks without words. She looked at him, the man who just risked his life for her, and realized behind those calm eyes was a storm he'd never healed from. Amara whispered, "I'm sorry." Ethan smiled faintly. "Don't be. Maybe helping you is how I finally make peace with the past." They thought the nightmare was over. They were wrong. By afternoon, news spread that Damien Shaw had vanished before the arrest warrant reached him. His mansion was empty, his accounts frozen, but his men were still out there. Ethan's phone buzzed. A message. No name, no number. Just 5 words. "You can't hide her forever." Amara saw the color drain from his face. "What is it?" Ethan pocketed the phone. "We need to move, now." They left the diner and hit the road, driving through winding streets, past the city's edge, until the lights disappeared behind them. They reached an old safe house, one of Ethan's old bureau spots. A quiet cabin surrounded by trees and silence. Inside, Amara finally exhaled. "So, what now?" Ethan turned on a small lamp. "Now, we wait." Hours passed. Rain started to fall softly against the window. Amara sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the fire crackle. Ethan paced near the window, scanning the dark. He hadn't stopped checking his phone, waiting for updates. Finally, Amara broke the silence. "You really don't have to do all this, you know." Ethan turned. "What? Protect you?" "Yes," she said. "You've done more than anyone ever has. I don't want to be your problem." Ethan walked over, crouched beside her, eyes soft but firm. "You're not my problem, Amara. You're my responsibility now." She looked into his eyes, the same eyes that had seen danger, death, and now. Her voice softened. "Why do you care so much?" Ethan hesitated. "Because, when you ran into that restaurant, you reminded me of someone I couldn't save." Silence hung between them, heavy, honest, and in that silence, something else was born. Not just gratitude, not just fear, something deeper, fragile, human. The clock hit midnight. The rain got louder. Ethan finally started to relax, sitting on the couch across from her. Amara smiled faintly. "You know," she said, "you never told me what made you choose that restaurant." Ethan chuckled. "Honestly, it was quiet. The kind of place no one notices you." She smiled. "Guess fate had other plans." They both laughed softly. The firelight flickered between them. Then, a sound. A twig snapped outside. Ethan's smile faded. He stood up instantly, hand reaching under his jacket for the gun holstered there. "Stay down," he whispered. Amara froze. "Ethan." He motioned silently. "Don't move." He crept toward the window, peering through the rain streaked glass. Then he saw them, 2 shadows moving between the trees. The same men from the restaurant. They had found her. Ethan turned back. "Go to the back room. Now." Amara's heart pounded. She ran silently as Ethan took cover near the door. The doorknob turned. Slowly. The door burst open. A gunshot echoed through the cabin. Ethan ducked, returning fire. Glass shattered. Sparks flew. Amara hid behind the couch, trembling, covering her ears as chaos exploded around her. Ethan, she screamed. He dove beside her, reloading. Stay low. 4 minutes. The night was nothing but gunfire, thunder, and fear. But when the smoke cleared, Ethan was still standing. One of the men lay unconscious. The other, gone, vanished into the woods. Ethan stumbled back, breathing hard, blood trickling down his arm. Amara rushed to him. You're hurt. He grinned faintly through the pain. Just a scratch. But it wasn't just the blood that made her tremble. It was realizing how far he'd gone. For a woman he'd just met, he sat down, exhausted, and looked at her with a weak smile. Told you. I'm not walking away. Tears welled in her eyes. Why? Why are you doing this for me? Ethan leaned his head back against the wall, whispering, because maybe. Saving you is how I save myself. Scene 7. Dawn and redemption. By morning, the police arrived. This time for real. The men were caught. Damien Shaw, cornered and betrayed by his own associates, was finally arrested. As the FBI led him away in cuffs, he glared at Amara one last time. But this time, she didn't look away. For the first time, she didn't feel like a victim. She felt free. Ethan stood beside her, his arm in a sling, smiling faintly. Told you we'd finish this. Amara looked up at him, tears in her eyes. But this time, they were tears of relief. You didn't just save me, Ethan. You gave me my life back, he smiled. Guess we both got something back today. Days later, Amara visited Ethan in the hospital. The city was quieter now, calm. He looked up as she walked in, her smile brighter than he'd ever seen. Hey, she said softly. You never let me thank you properly, he grinned. You're here. That's thanks enough. She shook her head. No, that's not enough. She walked closer, sat beside him, and took his hand. You risked everything for me. I don't know how to repay that. Ethan's voice was gentle. Then don't, just live. But she didn't let go of his hand. Instead, she leaned in and kissed him. Not like the first one, not desperate, not afraid. This one was real. The kind that happens when two broken hearts finally find peace in each other. Ethan smiled as she pulled away. So, is this another undercover act? She laughed. No, this time, it's real. They met through chaos. They survived through courage. And they heal through love. Sometimes, the universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you need. So remember, every stranger could be your miracle. Every moment could change your life. If you believe love can find you even in fear, type love wins in the comments below. And don't forget, like this video, subscribe to Jamal Tales, because stories like this remind us that light always finds its way through the darkness.